just pointing out again that the mini roundabout alternative with back and diagonal parking actually has the most parking stalls from any other Highway 4.
Does it have to be back in?
Not necessarily.
Some of us can't back.
Well, we talked about this a little bit at public meetings, right? So it's really an opportunity because of how wide this downtown corridor is to fit more stalls, and if parking stalls are that important to the community. What we found, and I have a list here too, we can talk about these different communities that have put it in. The whole notion behind back and diagonal as opposed to diagonal in these communities have seen reduction in crashes is you're aware of your surroundings as you're moving to park at a pretty gentle angle, backing in. And then when you leave, you're actually facing forward, so you can see down the road either way. You're not slowly backing out of a traditional diagonal spot where you're not able to see where you're going. Again, too, one of the benefits of back and diagonal is you open your doors, you actually go back towards the sidewalk, as opposed to opening doors next to that traffic. If it's a very busy district with lots of vehicles coming in and out, so there's an advantage to having pedestrians out of that traveling lane. So that's why we talked about it as an alternative. It's one of those things that you as a community decide if you want to pursue that or not. It's a way to gain parking stalls safely.
Just one other question with the back end. I know that with the parallel parking, how it is now, there are some people that back into those spots, and there are also people that pull in forward, and it kind of just depends on how busy it is and the time for parking. But with the back end parking permanently, I'm scared that a car may pass the spot wanting to back into it, and the car behind them would have also passed the spot not knowing they want to park. And at that point, you've lost that spot because you can't back up with the car behind you, if that makes sense. Because in order to back into a spot, you do have to pull completely forward. So if you're to stop there, but there's a car behind you because they just went through the roundabout with you, or whatever, then you wouldn't be able to park there. Like that parking spot is no longer available. Is this a concern, or?
That's why they teach you when you're parallel parking to turn your turn signal on.
Okay.
So it is your responsibility if you're parking to signal that parking.
Okay.
So that's what you would do.
So you signal it before while you're approaching, even if you're
Pull
backing
up that, yeah, signal light on.
No doubt in my mind as well that if we went forward with the back and diagonal parking, we'd have educational components around that as well, getting different pieces of information out to the public, asking businesses to put stuff up in their stores just to help folks learn how to drive not only the mini roundabouts but also back and diagonal parking prior to being down on the ground. The fourth bullet brought up was about trucks, young local truck drivers. We'll provide those education opportunities, or we'll give folks an opportunity to learn how to drive them. Again, in general, though, outside curb lines are staying relatively similar to what they are today. And so,
It's really not going to be that much different. I mean, because the back end of that trailer is still going to come across the middle of the intersection. It's really not all that different.
It will be on First and Seventh, like you said the last meeting, if that tractor trailer coming from the south does not stay over far enough in the buffer from that buffer zone, there will be some problems there coming because of the blind spot of supersound tapes. That trucker has to stay on the other side of that buffer. His trailer can't be any place on here because when he swings out, he's not going to have enough room, or his trailer is going to go right over the sidewalk.
You already have that problem, though.
I asked earlier when I come in if that northbound lane next to Burkholz's office, if that lane is as far east as it could possibly be. The farther east it goes, I think the better off everything would be for that, for what reason you're talking about.
Yeah, he was stating that his computer illustration said that everything works good, it works fine, but if the tractor is too far, I'm not denying that they don't have that problem now. But I'm just saying we're trying to get this, if they want the roundabouts to run the traffic through fast and smooth, why do we want to go to something and have problems there, which we already got problems now?
And we should be clear too, when we say fast and smooth, we're actually talking slow and smooth. You know, that 15 to 20 miles per hour is just, again, less average delay than your traditional signal.
If
You can
anything,
get
it's
that lane as far east as you can right in there, I think that would help.
Because that is gonna be a problem corner, I'll guarantee you.
if anything, it's gonna slow the semi-traffic up more, which is a good thing. Because a lot of them, I mean, you see a lot of them, they're going way too fast the way it is in those corners.
Some of them are, you're right about that.
We talk about the traffic patterns, concerns about truck traffic staying away from Highway 4, if the mini roundabouts are put in and folks not wanting to drive through those, you know, potentially being on 10th Avenue North. The city does have opportunities, you know, to explore limiting truck traffic on alternative routes. We're still gonna sign Highway 4 as it is today and expect folks to use that, you know, 10-ton route. So I think that's something if you're seriously concerned about having all these trucks go past the school, talk about ways of limiting trucks on that route, that residential street.
I think if I was a trucker and been through St. James, the way it is now,
Situations. The city of Blue Earth, where we installed roundabouts last year, they actually have a population that's almost 25% at the age of 65 or older. St. James is only about 18% at 65 or older. So again, the community of Blue Earth is actually older than the community of St. James. On the opposite side of it, we've talked about Eagle Lake in the past, significantly younger. About only 6.5% of their community is at 65 or older. In both those communities, you know, around the bookends of St. James, the younger as well as the older, we haven't seen abnormal crashes. There certainly is a learning curve in both types of situations with younger as well as older drivers. For the first couple of times, we've seen some odd, goofy behaviors, but we haven't seen crashes mounted from that. Again, because folks are driving at this 15 to 20 miles per hour. So then after the first couple of times driving through, even if they haven't had these different education opportunities, we haven't seen crashes resulting in this in both the younger and the older.
Are Blue Earth's roundabouts, mini roundabouts also?
No, those are single lane roundabouts, but everything we've talked about, you know, a newer type of intersection treatment, those were concerns that were raised before, the aging community and those kind of things. And so, similar types of concerns raised that, you know, can trucks really get fit through? Your model shows it, but I'm not sure, and so that's why I bring it up. But it is mini roundabouts are different than single lane roundabouts. I'd say they're more similar, minis compared to single lane roundabouts than single lane roundabouts are to the big multi-lanes in Mankato. Single lane roundabouts in general have less conflict points than multi-lane. We've got 2 through lanes plus a right turn lane and some of these other more complicated features of the intersections. You know, in Mankato, you see these big overhead signs that tell you what lane to be in. None of that would be at your traditional single lane roundabout or the mini roundabouts. All we're really doing is getting rid of that central apron for a single lane roundabout and telling truck traffic, you can drive over this.
You keep mentioning the 15 to 20 mile an hour, and I don't really think anybody's gonna be driving that fast around these little roundabouts if they go. I mean, to go around the corner now, 15 to 20 miles an hour would be really pushing.
You're moving,
Yes, so I'd say more like 5 to 10 miles.
Sure, that's just what our signs approaching the intersection in front of the roundabout. We have advisory speeds, so folks aren't trying to blitz through the intersection or taking over or things like that.
But that's unrealistic, I think.
Sure.
Diagram shows on the Eagles corner there, semis would actually turn and encroach on the refuge area where a pedestrian would be standing, so I had a concern about that.
Yeah, so it's
Person standing there in the refuge area, and it shows the semi as it turns going south, coming from the west, turning south. It actually comes and tracks across the refuge area.
couple things on that point. So, in general, it depends how aggressive your pedestrian wants to be. Some pedestrians won't cross when they see semis making those heavy movements at the intersections. again, I think I highlight back to, as well, it's state law to stop for pedestrians, and so that if they're in that space, they have that right of way. And again, we haven't seen abnormal crashes associated with that treatments. It's certainly a type of conflict that can occur, but we haven't seen crashes among that. I think the only other thing I was going to highlight was just kind of this overarching summary that, again, it's really just an opportunity the community has to go for a lower cost alternative that is safer and accommodates the existing and proposed traffic patterns more efficiently than today's existing signals. Thanks, guys.
Any other questions? I got a question. We're responsible for all the lights, right? Street lights? Yes. Does that include these decorative lights on First Avenue also? Are we responsible for relocating those as part of the project?
Yep, and
Are they
so
gonna be relocated? Do they have to be relocated?
they do.
Not just the ones on the corner, but on the main line and and like in front of the Legion and the bandbox. Is the sidewalk gonna be any wider or narrower?
Yeah, the sidewalks can be replaced as well.
Well, I
And
didn't say replace, I figured that, but it's gonna be narrower or wider.
yeah, it will be a little narrower than it is today in the mini roundabout alternative. We've got a very wide pavement section. We're actually pulling the north curb line a little further south. When it comes to lights, and this is in the report that's highlighted the city costs, we assume full replacement of all the lights in the city corridor at 100% local cost, except for lighting the intersection.
Why would those lights have to be replaced if the curb would just be a little, closer to the light? Maybe that's not good either, get bumped by a bumper or something.
Right now,
I mean, the idea of getting that, just leave them in place.
Right now, it's what we consider a good faith cost estimate. Without getting into detailed design, we don't know the full impacts of some of those street lights yet. And so, again, depending on where you want those lights located and what can be salvaged, that's something we can get into in detailed design, saying we can actually save these for, so these aren't costs. But again,
Same on the north side too.
at this point, we're saying, we're talking full reconstruction, a lot of footprints changing. Without getting into that detail, here's what you should plan for on these higher costs.
And how about the brick pavers in that sidewalk, replace what's in place?
Yeah, pretty much from edge of building on the south side, all the way to the edge of sidewalk next to the park and gazebo. All of that's getting completely replaced, that surface, as part of this project.
Yeah,
Hardly put stamp brick in.
That part's fine.
City staff has been pretty adamant about not putting brick pavers back in. So
I just wonder if you're gonna keep that.
We're aware of
that.
Certainly not, but Ray's been pretty adamant about not putting brick pavers back in, so.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. I agree with that. In fact, that's a lot less maintenance problem, just put stamped concrete in.
Yep, absolutely.
But wasn't that a request of the community many years ago?
Downtown
design group in 1997, 98. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
They still look nice.
What is the length of time that you think a project like this will take?
from beginning to end.
We've talked, yeah. Well, it's actually, what we expect right now is a full construction season, pretty much from May all the way through November. And talking with this starts all the way at the fairgrounds, goes about 1.6 miles north, where it turns at 11th Ave.
The four-way stop.
Yep, four-way stop on the north end of town there. In conjunction with MnDOT's project, the city is doing local city street work as well as sanitary water main improvements. All of that adds as well to the construction season. So we'll have future meetings about the construction staging, about where planned work is going to start and how we plan this such that it impacts the community as non-painfully as possible, because there will be impacts, but having these various routes where folks can cross the highway at various times throughout the project. And then accomplishing the project in one construction season. Early on, city staff made us aware that as opposed to doing half in 1 year and half in the other year, kind of the Band-Aid approach of ripping it off and trying to accomplish it in one construction season. So that's what we're planning.
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Any more? Okay, before we go to 13C, B, the layout approval. Just want to say to the council members, it's probably gonna be one of the most important decisions you'll make in your tenure here at the council, if not the most important. It's gonna forever change, or for the next 50 years, change the layout of the community, how it's gonna look. It'll be here a long time after all of us are here. So whatever the decision, whether it's for or against, or excuse me, whatever you vote for, that we all are unifiedly together going forward with this project for the best interest of the community. We're looking at spending $6.5 million of state money, which is part of our taxpayers' money. We're looking at spending $6.5 million of local taxpayer money, regardless of what's put in, which is a heck of a lot of money, because we need to put the infrastructure in, because we're looking for concrete above it. So we're gonna be a long-lasting effect, and we will live with it, whatever it may be going into the future. So whatever your heart and your head decides to do, I want to all of us go forward positively, progressively, and unifiedly together for this project. So your consideration, if you have any other questions, please ask them. Otherwise, your consideration for the resolution as presented on 13B. And if you have any comments you want to make, welcome to do that as well.
This resolution is for the roundabouts.
Correct. Yes, Mike. This resolution would be to support the mini roundabout. Yes.
Well, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution. I'll second it.
Dispense with the reading. Dispense with the reading. Okay, motion has been made by Mike, the resolution, dispense with the reading, seconded by Josh, for the layout approval for the mini roundabouts as we go forward with the Highway 4 project. Is there any discussion? Or any further discussion from anyone? Not, all in favor signify by show of hands. Opposed? Resolution passes 3-2, supporting the layout approval of the mini roundabouts. I want to thank the council members for all the work and study that you've done on this, and thank the community members that have come forward in the meetings and tonight as well to address your concerns to the council and to the community so that we can make a better decision for this going forward. So thank you to everyone for that. 13C, resolution parallel parking only for 6th Avenue project.
6th Avenue project is a county state aid project, which would be 6th Avenue from 1st Street South to County Road 55, just past the railroad tracks. There will be parallel parking on the south side only. There will be no parking on the north side of the street. And we anticipate that the street will be widened for easier flow of traffic and safety.
Well, the trees are gonna be gone.
The trees will be gone. We've already sent letters out to all of the property owners affected by that, informing them that we're chopping the trees sometime this winter.
Is there gonna be a boulevard between the back of the curb and the sidewalk and I haven't seen a set of plans.
No, the sidewalk will abut the curb all the way along there.
Would that sidewalk be moved away from the right of way that it is now, or will it be basically in place?
Sidewalk will actually be about right where it is.
So the
Just the curb will get moved to the side, well, the sidewalk's gonna be new, but the curb will get moved to the edge, to the north side of the sidewalk. We'll gain about between 6 and 8 feet.
For everybody to know, it's